So, welcome everyone. This is Sister Elizabeth, and I am here with my co host, Sister Liz, and you are listening to In the Company of Charity, the podcast of the Daughters of Charity of St. Vincent de Paul. And we welcome you. We're glad you're listening. And Sister Liz, I welcome you as always. Couldn't do it without you. How are you?
Yes, I'm good. We are wrapping up the season here, which is kind of bizarre, but fun.
Yeah, it makes me sad. I think we could keep going. Let's keep going. I thought we're going to kill ourselves. Keep going. You got to take a break, y'all.
Take a break. Everybody needs a break. It's a little time of rest. You know, we build that into our lives with retreat days and annual retreats. So we're taking our annual retreat from the podcast so we can come back 100% going strong.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. We do need a little break from each other, maybe too.
No,
not really.
No,
never. So a break just means we won't be on the air, but we will still be working on some fabulous stories for season 3. Is that crazy or what? That's so crazy.
Season 3. It's amazing.
I'm so proud of us.
We typically start the season around St. Vincent de Paul's feast day.
Mm-hmm.
And so
September 27th.
It's a great day.
Yeah.
It's not too far away.
Mm-hmm.
And it just seems like the spring has just, I don't know, we blinked and now we're here in August.
Well, you know, there was a big virus and it kind of kept us.
I wish we could just blink away the coronavirus.
I know. It really has wreaked havoc. I mean, you would think because of it, since we're home and there's not really a lot we could do in those first months, especially, we would be able to do all kinds of interviews and things like that. But it was like all work came online, you know, so you're sitting in front of the computer and doing that kind of stuff all day, every day. So yeah, it was tough to keep things going, and, you know, people were busy still, even more so. But, you know, it's August now, and now we have to worry about whether and how kids are going to go back to school.
Oh yeah, that's big. And I tell you, Texas is not the place to be right now.
No, it is not. It is not.
We are doing the best we can. And I was at Walmart the other day because I needed to buy some gift cards because we're doing a food distribution. And I won't tell you how much money I was carrying around, but I was really nervous about it, buying all of these gift cards. And you should see the guy's eyes at Walmart customer service when I tell him how many gift cards I want to buy and how much money I have in my pocket. It's a strange experience.
Yeah.
How is a lady who took a vow of poverty carrying that much money around? But
it's for the poor, sister.
That's right.
Not yours.
I took it very carefully back to Puerto Juan Diego and gave
all the gift cards. Oh my gosh! But good for you guys, though. That sounds like a good thing.
Yeah, people have really wanted to help us, and a couple of foundations reached out to us and all of that. So we've actually been identifying families that have the virus that are quarantined, you know, and real safely just, you know, ring the doorbell, knocking on the door, stepping back and, you know, giving them what they need. And thankfully the folks from Rancho Viejo have helped us with food baskets, bags of food for people. It's been really, really amazing. Keeping everybody safe and then trying to still do the work at the same time. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I was thinking the early days of the virus in New York were just horrific. I mean, nobody did anything, but our food pantry continued to stay open and see people, and there were lots of parking lot giveaways, you know, where you just like drive through, pop your trunk, put it in, and you kept going. You didn't see anybody, touch anybody, you know, they just dropped it in the car and you left. So, but those days are all pretty much done now. You know, the pantries are still open. They still do some of those, but not the way they had been before. And so it's so much calmer here, and things are opening, and, you know, we took such a slow pace, and you know, for good reason. And it's been nice to see things start to open up again, you know. But like I was saying, schools are starting to open, and I'm hearing from our sisters in Macon, Georgia, that they're going to be back with, you know, 20 kids in their classroom, and I'm
That's
thinking,
not
we're
easy.
up here, we have almost zero cases or just a few here and there. It's so low, the numbers in the whole state. We have, maybe 100, right? And we're just opening like September 8th. 7th through 12th grade will be online only.
Wow.
And elementary will be 2 days in and 3 days out.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a contrast to me, it's
Oh
just
yeah.
such a contrast, but I feel just so safe. But then also thinking, we can't have any company, we can't have any friends, because anyone who comes is going to have, like, if you fly in, you have to sign a paper that says you'll quarantine and you won't intermingle
Oh
with the rest of
yeah.
the population. I mean, there's just the restrictions keep you just as much kind of hunkered down as before. So we're not out of this thing yet, that's for sure.
No, the excitement does not end. The excitement does not
No,
end,
no.
even
Well, and the
if we're
fear
really,
too, I
yeah.
took a ride down to Emmitsburg. They were kind of letting people at least come in to see some of the sisters who aren't in our skilled care unit, in St. Vincent's Care Center. And it was a little creepy driving on the highway, and I thought, well, I'm going to try to have to not go to the bathroom or get gas between here and Emmitsburg. It was just kind of a weird, creepy feeling. But at the same time, I did have to stop for gas. Everybody, was wearing their mask. And this was now like a month ago,
Mm-hmm.
so you just
Mm-hmm.
realize it's just a part of our lives now, going to church with your mask on, staying
Yep.
distant from one another. We've adapted somewhat, you know,
We've had
those
to,
who have
that's for
accepted
sure.
it. Yeah, we've had to. We really
Exactly.
had to, for the sake of others, for sure.
Now,
So
I know that you have a story that you'd like to share with the kids at home.
yeah,
So when you were telling me this, I almost fell out of my chair
I
because
know almost everyone has. It's one of those stories that I think, you can't say anyone would tell it, but Daughters of Charity, I think, especially have these moments, when you just say, oh, this is why I'm doing what I'm
God put
doing.
you
This
there,
is
I think.
why we're here. This is why the daughters are here. Yeah, so, gosh, it must have been 2 weeks ago now, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
As I had said, I think in one of the other episodes, I mentioned that I've been working with a couple of women who are pregnant, and the difficulty it's been through the last 4, 5, 6 months, because we haven't been able to go into the doctor office with them. And even as things lessened up, we still couldn't go in. We could like bring them to a certain point, but they still had to kind of keep distance and all of that. So it's been hard. They're not English speaking, or at least their English is it's not great enough to manage, in a situation like that. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's been difficult. It's been really difficult. But we're doing okay now. So I was, we had gone to an appointment with somebody. She was doing great. Everything was fine. Both women that I've been working with would do last week of July, first week of August. So I'm in the middle of, and people will start already to guess maybe some of this, but I'm in the middle of a parish council meeting on Zoom. And there's myself and another sister who lives in our house is with me, Sister Paula. And we're on this conference, and I just happened to look down at my phone and saw that, I got a phone call from this woman. And I thought, oh, I'll get back to her later. And then I looked again, and one of the other sisters in the house called. I thought,
That's not a good sign.
going on? Because they know where we are. And then I looked down and I had a text message from this sister. Of course, I couldn't read it. I said, can I just leave this, meeting for 1 minute? I'll be right back. I think something's going on. So I step out of the room and I called the sister first. I said, what's going on? And she said, I don't know. I think she's kind of scared, and she just she said, I told her to go to her apartment and rest, and you'd be up as soon as your meeting was over. I said, okay. So I was going to come back in the meeting. Within like 2 minutes, the sister called me back and said, I think you need to get up there now. And
Oh
it's right up
yeah.
the street. Because again, we're like good neighbors. We just, the people we work with live on our street. I run up the street and her husband is sitting outside. And I said, what's going on? What's happening? And he's like, I don't know. What are you talking about? I said, I think I think something's going on upstairs. We need to go 3 flights up. We run upstairs, and she has had her baby all by herself.
Just like that.
Yeah. I'm telling you, we just didn't, no. And I have to go back. I mean, it's almost like, eliminating a line in the joke. But when Sister Pat had called, she said, I don't know. She called me and said, I'm holding my baby. And we thought, is she really saying that? Because sometimes, English doesn't always translate what they're trying to say. And I thought, okay, she's probably having this, she's ready to go. So I said, call the ambulance, running down. Said, what are you doing? The husband's down there. What are the 2 kids?
He's just chilling,
They're all chilling down there because mom's resting upstairs, right?
How many births have you been there for?
I've been to some in hospitals, not in homes. I will have to say though, I didn't participate at all, but I did end up again, baby had already been born in a Salvation Army in Little Rock, but
oh my God,
just us until the ambulance came. So of course, then you hear the firemen come up the stairs. They're all men, fire guys come up, and they're like, "Can we help? Can we help you?" And I realized the sister who had called the ambulance. Imagine what she's trying to say. This woman had her baby, or she's holding her baby, or something. And the ambulance was like, baby. "Okay, well, is she okay? How old? I don't, So the ambulance, so they're like, "Is everything okay?" Like, no, it's not okay. We just had a baby.
Right here, right now.
Here, right now. Yeah. So I'll tell you, I have to say though, it was amazing, absolute miracle. Mom and baby are perfect, absolutely perfect. Both are incredibly healthy. I think these are the moments when you tell these stories and scare people half to death who might be discerning, saying, oh, but no way, I'm not doing that. I say, tell the story because anyone who's listening says, man, I want to be there, right? I want to be the neighbor and I want to be the person in the neighborhood that, is going to be the one that somebody calls and says, I need help now.
Just had a baby. Like, okay, yeah. Are you all right? No, literally, I just had a baby.
Yeah. Like, thinking you're having you
minutes ago.
I had. I'm like, okay. Oh yeah, so that was pretty crazy. But you also had a baby experience. I mean,
this was several years ago, but I used to work with college students. I worked with college students. We did this, they call it a nun run, where you go to different convents and visit sisters. And, since I was involved, clearly we were going to go to the Daughters of Charity also, among many other communities. But St. Anne's Infant Home in Washington, D.C., they were on our list, and Sister Mary and Sister Mary Jo and Sister Mary Clements, like all the Marys were there.
All the Marys. And I was going to say, and we don't even really do that. We don't really name ourselves Mary something, right? I mean, other communities do. It's a beautiful thing, but we don't. So we don't, but Mary somebody's,
We had a Marys all there. Yeah, all the Marys were there at that time. And so we're just, in the community room and talking. I don't know. I think we were talking about community life. That may have been our little thing to speak on at that point. And, they get a phone call and Sister Mary Bader has to go out. And then there's another phone call and Sister Mary Jo goes out. And we're all kind of like, okay, this is weird. And then Sister Mary Clement goes out. And so all of us, the guests, so to speak, are just sitting around looking at each other like, okay, well, this is weird.
Yeah.
And so a few minutes later, one of the sisters comes back and was like, one of the moms just had a baby in the bathroom there at St. Anne's Home.
Yeah, well, it's as babies come when babies come,
Oh my gosh. What a testament.
Yeah, all I kept thinking was, Jesus was born in a stable. He didn't wait till they got to where they needed to be and set up, through the census and back home. I mean, he just decided to be born when he wanted to be born. And that is what babies do. That is what they do. And they don't care about coronavirus. They don't care, about anything. They just want to be born when they want to be born.
They're going to come.
I will have to say, though, I saw my other friend who's pregnant. And she, of course, had heard, because this is like
all over town at this point.
Every place. And I said to her, "You are not having that baby at home. You make sure to call me, any pain, anything." And I think, well, this woman didn't have much pain. I mean, she didn't really know she was in labor. This was her third kid. It's like she got, I mean. So anyways, I said,
they
no,
just kind of walk out at that point, don't they? I mean, if you've had that many.
Oh Lord, I'll tell you.
Yeah, my sister-in-law, you can confirm how that works. She's had 4. So
yeah, my sister has 2 kids, and both no hardly any labor, thank God, because she's a wimp. But I said,
does she listen to the podcast?
She will. I'll tell her. I'll say, Barbara, you should listen to the podcast. I mentioned you, and I called you out on the podcast. Yeah. So I mean, but those are the kinds of stories that
you can't make it up.
You can't make it up, and it's you sit in community, and the day goes by, and the next day, and everyone's like, "So how's the baby?" "Oh, baby's great." I mean, it's like we just have a baby and a mom now. The day of crisis is over. We passed that, and he's at his first doctor appointment. And he's amazing. He's already gained a pound, and he's just remarkable, and but he will have a story to tell.
The things that your families have been through as far as being in refugee camps, I mean, it's incredible to me. And they've tried to adjust to being in the US, and she didn't get the best part of the US, where you get all the support of doctors and people helping you. And
exactly. I mean, most of her pregnancy was like during COVID, so she's had to deal with it by herself, a lot of it, because we couldn't go to all these appointments, so you're right. I mean, I always say that the fact that they do come from very difficult situations, but they're survivors by every definition of the word. They are survivors. They got to the camp when they could, and they survived there. Some for many years, 10 years in a refugee camp. Grew up there, some of them, and then started to raise their own families there. So, yeah, they're pretty amazing people.
Tell them the one last part that your little friend, your little 12-year-old guy or whatever, had told the baby, because he said something very sweet to the baby.
He did. And I think it goes to what we're saying about life in a refugee camp. So this is a young kid, 12 years old, friend of this family. They all kind of live in the same apartment building and come from the same place. And they're all girls. He's the only boy. He loves basketball. And he gets stuck playing basketball, usually with me, which is pretty pitiful. We have to find more friends. But in the neighborhood, it's almost all girls, and he's the only boy. And so he went up to the baby. He said to me, said I talked to the baby. And I said, "Yeah, what did you say?" He said, "I told him we will play basketball." I said, "Oh, yeah, it's going to be awesome." He said, and he kind of like looked like, "I'm only going to tell you this," but he said it like in front of all these other people. He said, "I told the baby that you will not die. You will grow up, and we will play basketball together." And I said, "Wow." I said, "Wow." He said, "Yeah, I told him you are in America now, so you will not die." And I thought, what has this kid seen when this simple, what seems like such a simple statement was so authentic for him to say something like that to this baby, it was an encouragement, it was hey, look how amazing our lives are now, So then we started joking that this baby would be the first Congolese president of the United States, Congolese president. I said that would be awesome. He'll be president one day. I said, you guys can be like, senators or governors or something.
You weren't born here, but you can still do
stuff. They were like, oh, I said, no. So take care of this kid because, he might be your president someday. So that's always, anytime we have the first American baby in the house, it's always like, oh, he can be president. He can be president.
What a powerful statement.
Yeah, really. I mean, it just keeps reminding me to be when life feels normal, which is what you really want, is just these are kids playing in the street. These are moms who just need help every once in a while. You know, they don't have a car. They don't always understand the systems that they have to engage in, like WIC and, you know, visiting nurses to their houses, or like going to parent-teacher meetings, things like that. You know, day-to-day normal kind of stuff. And then something like, I told the baby, we're in America and you won't die, so you're going to grow up and play basketball with me, is just a gut punch in some ways. And yet at the same time, I realized that is his way of assimilating, or his way of, I hate the word assimilating, but it's his way of feeling safe here.
Yeah.
Like those days are over. But it also, you know, as I said, reminds me to be sensitive to the fact that I have no idea what this kid has seen. You know, I think I had said once, probably in first season, that, you know, we went to the movies, first time to the movies. And I tried, just thought I'll just show him some trailers to some of the movies that we were going to.
Oh, the Avengers, and they were.
Yeah, it was Spider-Man, freaked him out. No way, he wasn't going. You know, that was. And I also realized that someone donated a PS4 to this kid, which is, you know, not the best thing in the world, but he loves it and he plays. But he won't play like Fortnite or any of the others. He plays basketball.
Oh,
he only plays basketball games. And even when his friends have tried to encourage him to like get on Fortnite, he does it a couple of times and he can't. So I just think how when he gets older, you know, and his English becomes more proficient and he can express himself more, you know, what kind of work will we need to do with him to really help him, you know, to kind of maybe face some of that stuff or to see how it's affected his life. But anyways, yeah, so keep praying for the folks here in Utica. They're just amazing, beautiful people. And it's such a gift, such an amazing blessing to be here, to be part of their lives. And, you know, such a gift for God to have crossed our paths. And I think for the sisters here to know we're making some, you know, some way in which I think our presence is making their transition a little bit easier, I hope. And certainly helping us to see you know, God's graces and blessings in the world. Just amazing.
Yeah. Well, and I think when I think of our call as daughters of charity, as Christians for that matter, you know, to be near people who are who've had different experiences, who've been through tremendous sufferings, you know, who have a completely different view of the world and of the worst of humanity and the best of humanity. You know, I think it really, as someone who, you know, myself, who's come from sort of middle class background, you know, I've never had, I mean, Jim Gaffigan makes this joke of, I haven't been hungry in 12 years, you know, like I don't know what that's like. I don't know what that's like to see children die of starvation. And so, you know, we have to find those people, not just to sort of quote unquote help, but to be in relationship and to come to understand the experience of another person as best one could. And I think that's the gift that people offer us when they allow us to be a part of their lives in some small way, you know, and that's the exchange that we talk about when, you know, we talk about the call to serve the poor. You know, that can sound very like, okay, we're here to help you. But our salvation lies in that relationship that's built when someone trusts us enough to call and say, hey, would you come over?
Yeah. And it is the relationship piece. I mean, it's absolutely, people will seek out help wherever they can get it when they need it. I mean, we all do that, right? We all do that. But it doesn't mean there's going to be a relationship there. You know, like I was saying, there have been food drives here, food giveaways, you know, all throughout this time, this very strange springtime of ours. I'm not in a relationship with any of those people. They don't they don't, they can't even say, and even if we had gone to food banks or something, it's always, here's your ID, here's why I'm eligible, why I'm supposed to get this food, why I'm in need of it. There's not always that relationship. So I always think the beauty of what happens here in Utica with the refugee families is that we're just we happen to know stuff, that they don't know. But on the other hand, they know stuff we don't know. So there are two huge gardens. Like, I call them a garden. They're like farms, man. We've got corn. Every morning I keep hearing, I don't know, the musical Oklahoma, when they talk about the corn is as high as an elephant's eye,
Oh
it's
my
huge.
gosh.
I mean, it's starting to block out the house next door. I'm like, there's corn and, cabbage and
Wow.
cucumbers and all kinds of stuff growing. And every morning, the couple of the women will come down. There's a woman who comes with a tub, like, that she carries on her head. That has become so natural and normal to me now, and they'll laugh because, American women, we don't carry things on our head. And so
What
they'll try to
weirdos.
put
You're
it on our
weird.
head. And, I'm like, it's all going to fall, and so they keep saying they're going to train you, but then their daughters will say, you have to learn when you're little,
Oh, there you go.
like that. And so they're learning when they're like 10, like, you're 60 now, you can learn this, you're past learning it, but the fact that they can, it's like nothing to them. I look at a bunch of grass and I'm like, oh, it's going to stay grass, They look at that and say, can we start, and they just get one hoe, and the next thing you know, they're planting.
Amazing.
That is so amazing. Yeah. So, we have this garden, we have flower garden that one of our parishioners has set up. We put out a clothesline. So, they can, like, be hanging their clothes when they come to pick their vegetables. And yeah, it's just, it's like a little oasis, so amazing. So amazing. Yeah.
Well, if you love hearing these stories, you are going to be in for a treat in these coming months when we come back from our pause. We have a lot of great interviews already set up, and we love doing what we do, and we appreciate you guys as listeners and giving us any feedback that you want to hear. What things you want to hear. Do you love these Cohost Chat? Do you love some of the interviews that we're doing about service and about discernment, about prayer? That's that kind of mix that we're going for. Would love to hear what you guys think of it. So, Company of Charity podcast right here. companyofcharity@gmail.com. That's our email address. You can always
companyofcharity@gmail.com.
Write it down.
Company of Charity, all one word.
We have some cool things coming up. I don't want to reveal too much.
We do.
But you're gonna start seeing some more from us. So get excited.
Yeah, definitely get excited. Be in relationship with us. That's the most important thing. We want to be in relationship with you.
Exactly. So we'll see you in just a few short weeks, you guys.
Yeah.
And Sister Elizabeth and your folks, I'll be keeping you guys in prayer. Please pray for us down here on the border.
And let's just pray for the world, man. Just keep everyone in prayer. Day-to-day stuff that's happening in the midst of such craziness. That life, maybe when we meet again, life will have more of whatever normal was. That things will have settled down some.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we'll be praying for you, and God bless you guys, and we'll see you on the next episode, season 3.
September, season 3. Bye, y'all.
Bye.